It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege of interviewing the Montana State Bobcats assistant rodeo coach, Coach Savanna Bolich. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to get started in coaching in college rodeo?
Um, I had started doing some lessons for high school kids for several years while I was in college myself, and then after school quite a bit. And I was pretty busy, and so I was kind of at the point where I was debating on if I should try to do that full time. I really enjoyed doing it. I had gotten to be pretty busy. I had a lot of kids. And so when the position at MSU came up, it just seemed like a good fit. It seemed like something I was familiar doing. And then I love the Bobcats, and so it was just kind of filled all of those boxes that I was hoping to do.
What was that experience like for you competing for Montana State in rodeo as a collegiate athlete?
Um, Competing at MSU and being part of the team, honestly, probably one of the biggest things that has kind of shaped my adult life. It was a great experience. It taught me so much, you know, character development, work ethic. MSU is a very unique program as far as it has a lot of deep, traditional roots. We were held to a really high standard, and the expectations were really high. So I think it did a lot for me, just in life as well as, being a college athlete. And I had great coaches. My coaches were actually my aunt and uncle. So that was a pretty cool experience because we just had so many family ties to MSU rodeo. And they, did a ton for me as a rodeo athlete, but also just, as a student and as, a kid. So it was a really good experience for me for sure. It set me up for a lot of different opportunities, which I'm really thankful for. So,
What was that experience like getting to put on that uniform and representing them?
oh, everybody kind of talks about putting on the blue and gold vest. It's kind of a legacy in Montana, kind of how I was talking about earlier. It's just MSU Rodeo is very well known. We've been around for a long time. It's kind of always been known for being really successful, having a really high standard. And everybody knows, the blue and gold when you put those colors on. So Bozeman loves the rodeo team. Bozeman loves the rodeo program. And so, anytime that you have that honor, I would have that on it. It's kind of felt like, you were important and respected. And so it was a really cool experience for sure.
For you, what was that experience like getting to compete for your uncle and your aunt, and now getting to coach alongside them as an alma mater coach?
They're not coaching anymore. They're still pretty involved. They come to some of our events and stuff, and I actually, kind of use them as a role model, as a reference. I asked them a lot of questions, but it was a good experience. I do think that it was a little bit different maybe than the other kids' experiences, just because I felt like I was even maybe held to a higher standard because you have your family tied into that. So it was good. It was great. I always had a lot of support from them, and always knew that they were always helping me with all kinds of things when I was a college kid. So that was good.
For you, what was that journey like coming and being a part of the coaching staff?
I actually knew the assistant that was coaching before, and so we had kind of talked, and she kind of told me the rundown and what to expect, and so I knew that it was going to be a lot different than kind of any job that I had had before, but I was really excited to be there, and I think that when I took the position, like I said, a lot of things that I had done leading up to it, I knew would fit into that and kind of set me up to be successful in this position. And so it just everything kind of fell into place, and I really felt like I was supposed to do that, and it's been really good. So, um, yeah.
What was that first competition like for you as an assistant coach?
Oh, trying to remember. It seems like a while ago already. Um, we're lucky. We have a great team. I think the biggest thing for me was just figuring out coaching college kids versus high school kids, and kind of learning how much to let them figure out and how much to kind of guide them or tell them. And so it definitely, I would say, took me a little while to kind of figure out um, all their different strategies and all their different, some kids you can really put pressure on, and some do better with less. And so I think my biggest thing was just kind of being there if they needed me, and kind of figuring out what my role was at the rodeos. And so I wouldn't say I was nervous for it, but it was definitely like there's a lot of expectations. We're expected to perform. And me and the men's coach are responsible for how they do at the end of the day. So I was excited though. Like I said, we have a great team, and they always do their best. So it's a good spot.
Being an alma mater coach, what was that transition like going from being a player to now coaching the teammates that were your teammates?
That has been a really interesting experience. I refer a lot to my college days to my team now. And the biggest thing is just the program has changed a lot. And I would say the change has all been positive. It's grown. We're part of the athletic department at MSU now. And we weren't when I was in school. So that's been the biggest change is we're a lot more involved with the university. We have a weight trainer. We have a workout schedule that's, they're expected to follow. We have just a lot more responsibilities and things that we're expected to do in the athletic department, where I didn't have that when I was in school. But with those, expectations, we also have a lot more that we can offer the kids. We have more scholarships. Like I said, we have the workout program. That's great. We have access to athletic trainers and athletic advisors. We have more people in the athletic department involved with our team, as far as media and marketing and all of that kind of thing. And then we also got the university bought a facility, which is a huge change. When I was in school, we would have to haul our horses to the practice facility that the team rented, and we only had access to it during the season, and we only had access to it certain days. And now with the university owning the facility, it's completely different. They can use it anytime. We can build our practice schedule however we want. So that's been a big change. And I kind of tell the kids a lot, like, you guys have a lot more than, MSU kids have had in the past as far as opportunities for practice and stock and resources and all of that. So I've seen a lot of change in the program. And then as far as like when I was on the team versus now coming back to the coaching side, I think I've really just seen why MSU has been so successful. And it's because it's had the same traditions and values, and people have maintained those. And, we've recruited kids that maintain those, and we just try to carry on kind of that legacy and keep making it better.
For the people that don't know about collegiate rodeo, what is collegiate rodeo and how do you compete in it?
So your school has to be approved through the NIRA, which is the National Intercollegiate Rodeo Association. It's nationally, I guess there's different ways to explain it, but there's regions all across the nation, and within your region, different schools compete against each other. So we'll have 10 rodeos in the fall and 10 rodeos in the spring. And then we take the top 3 from our region, which I think there's like 9 schools in our region, and they go to the college national finals, and each region does that. So you compete against your own region your whole season, and then you take your top athletes, and everybody goes to the national finals. Almost any kind of university can be approved by the NIRA. We have everything from big rodeo programs like Tarleton, University of Wyoming, us, Cal Poly, of big, pretty dominating college rodeo teams. And then you also have smaller junior colleges, kids doing online school. There's definitely a little bit of everything. And I think that's a pretty unique part of college rodeo, is it's not just, D1 schools competing against each other. It's all kinds of universities, all kinds of schools, all kinds of backgrounds. So all kinds of athletes, really, and you compete in your own region, and then everybody meets at nationals. So
what is that experience like getting to coach against, let's say, some of the big schools in your rodeo class versus some of your smaller rodeo programs?
Well, we were lucky. We, like in the Big Sky region, we have probably, I think we have the biggest team. There's only one other school that can kind of offer the resources that we can offer. So I think that's really good confidence booster for the kids, kind of knowing we can do pretty well in the Big Sky region, and so we can do pretty well at the college finals. I think that the only difference is we are able to offer more because of our school and because of our backing. And so I don't think that there's any difference coaching wise, other than we are a little probably more involved with our team than some of the smaller programs, just because we have more work to do with that many kids in a facility and being part of the athletic department.
Can you talk about, of course, the culture that you've helped to build for the rodeo program at Montana State?
Yeah, so that has been a big thing. As like I was saying, at MSU, rodeo has kind of seen a lot of changes the past couple of years. New coaches, new facility, a lot of new kind of areas of the program to manage. So I really am happy with how the culture of the team is now. Last year, I would say, was a really big adjustment year. We had a lot of ups and downs just with navigating how to best communicate with the team, how to, you know, make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to do. But now I would say it's super positive, and there's a few things that we do, I think, that contribute to that. One thing is Kyle and I, that's our men's coach, are very involved. Like, I know what's going on with them all the time. So does he. It's a pretty full-time job, just kind of staying in touch with them all. And then also they're pretty tight with each other. We all practice together. They're all expected to come to practice. They all work out together. They're all expected to be at workouts. And I think that really builds the sense of being on a team. We also do a lot of team activities. We do team dinners, we do team meetings. We do a lot of events together. We produce our own jackpots that they can compete in, but they're also expected to work them. So they're working together to kind of help build up our program. And then having the facility where they all keep their horses at the same place. So they're all seeing each other, multiple times a day, multiple times a week. And I think that really just kind of makes a sense of community type being together. We're all doing the same thing. And that's definitely a new part of the program. I don't really see a lot of little groups within our team. It's really everybody gets along pretty well, and they do a lot together, which I think is great. And when we have our team meet, like we had a team meeting recently, and we did a goal setting for the women's team and then for the men's team also, and they're just very much on the same page. And I always tell them, like, the first day of school, my kind of big thing is every one of you guys matters. The way that college rodeo is set up, only a few people count for points team for each rodeo. But for us, I always tell them, like, every run matters, every one of you matters, because if we're all doing well, we kind of keep those points away from all the other teams. And then also, like, maybe people who aren't high point earners, they're still getting good grades, and they're still bringing up the team GPA, and they're still making community appearances, and all of those things that we do help bring funding into the program, help bring support into the program. And so I always try to remind them, like, each one of you guys being a part of the team is why we're doing well, and we're really healthy as a program. And I think that has really helped build the sense of community also. And then just consistency. Like, as a coach, we deal with a lot of different kinds of situations, and we really have learned how to work together on being consistent and expecting the same things. I think that it's really important. We try to run, decisions and answers to questions by each other, so that the kids are hearing the same thing from both of us. And that just really keeps everybody on the same page. It keeps the expectations really clear. And it's been a really good thing to be a part of. It hasn't been all perfect. We've definitely had to learn some things and adapt to some things, because we're human too. And I tell my girls that, like, if I try this and it doesn't work, like, we'll regroup and we'll change how we approach something. But overall, I would say we've learned to adapt, and we've been able to be consistent, and the team camaraderie is awesome right now. So
what does a typical competition day look like for you as a coach versus for your athletes?
Like, at the college rodeos, we'll have a slack usually in the morning, and then we'll have the rodeos at night. They draw for position. So Sometimes they're up at night, sometimes they're up in the morning. For the athletes, I would say it just depends on their event. If they're only in the rough stock events, I don't see them most of the day. It's different, I would say, obviously than other sports. You're dealing with horses and feeding and, giving medicine or whatever you need to do for your horses. And so they stay pretty busy. We get them, everybody gets hotel rooms. So when they travel to the rodeos, everybody stays at the hotel. So they're kind of all in the same place. For me, as a coach, I don't monitor how they're getting ready for their event necessarily. I'm kind of like right by the arena. We talk about kind of a plan beforehand. I'll usually check in with them, before their event. As the event's starting, I try to kind of step back and let them do their thing because we've already talked about, the plan going forward. So sometimes they don't need a lot. Sometimes they've got, what they need, and sometimes they have a lot of questions. What do you think about this, or what do you think about this? And we just kind of talk about it beforehand, and then I let them do their thing. And it's easy when they do well, which is a lot of the time. When they don't, sometimes it just depends on the kids. Sometimes they want to go over it in every detail and make a plan for how they can change it, and sometimes they're, just I give them their space for a minute. It just kind of depends on the kid and the situation. But both me and the men's coach we're on the ground pretty much the whole rodeo, behind the boxes or at the end gate. I'm there for every women's event and most of the men's events, and he's there for all the men's events and some of the women's events. So we kind of are on our feet, moving around, checking in with everybody. That's part of having a big team, and I would say that would be a difference of people who have smaller teams is we have probably, half of the kids in almost all of the events, whereas other coaches might only have one or two up in a performance, for example. So that's kind of the biggest difference, I would say.
As a coach, what is it like keeping the momentum of your athletes when you said having competitions in the morning, but also having competitions at night too?
We haven't really had to deal with that. They want to win, they want to do well. Rodeo is too tough of a sport to be not, wanting it bad enough. So I've really never had to, motivate them to do their best. They do that themselves. The big thing that we try to do is be encouraging as a team. Our team is really helpful with each other. There's always, Bobcats cheering for each other, and that really helps bring kind of the momentum up. And also we all kind of communicate about the stock. So like the goat tires, for example, a lot of times we'll meet before the event and kind of go over how the goats are, how the setup is, and then they kind of all help each other. So it's a good strategy to kind of bring the team atmosphere into it.
As a coach, what do you look at in those perspectives to athletes when recruiting?
The big thing for me is honestly, obviously we look at their accomplishments, we look at their backgrounds. If we think that they can be competitive at the CNFR, if we think that they can be competitive in our region. But the biggest thing that I would say I look at is kind of their attitude about coming to MSU. I want an athlete that's really excited to be here because we ask a lot of them and it's not easy. It's a huge commitment. We're not like we're not a casual rodeo program. You show up when you want to. Like it's an everyday commitment for the most part. So I want a kid that's excited to be here. I don't want to have to bribe them with major scholarships. Obviously, we can offer those, but I want somebody who really wants to be here, and I've seen that makes the biggest difference. We want people who are willing to work hard, willing to hold themselves to a high standard. They might be a really high point earner, and that's why we want them. Or they might be a really hard worker and really good student, and that adds a lot to our program too. So we kind of look at everything. We look at what events they do, recruiting each year, and I haven't recruited for many years, so I'm kind of learning as I've gone to. But I've kind of seen that people who do multiple events are always good to recruit. And it kind of depends on the year too. Like this past year, we recruited a lot of rough stock guys. We really were short on them. And so it'll vary kind of year by year based on who we're losing that's graduating.
As an assistant coach in alma mater, what is it like getting to see them put on that uniform for the first time representing Montana State?
I'm always excited for them. I think that it's a little intimidating, and I remember that feeling. I was a transfer student, so when I transferred up to MSU, I remember being pretty intimidated because it is a big program and a lot of kids, and MSU kind of dominates in our region, and so I kind of remember that feeling. But I'm always excited for them, and I always try to encourage them, like you're supposed to be here. You fit in here. You're here for a reason. We believe in you, and I think that they get excited about it too.
How is that like getting to see those freshmen achieve those first milestones in their career and those first rodeos?
Oh, it's great. It's probably one of my favorite things that I've seen so far is just how much the freshmen grow up and mature even in the first year. My freshman last year versus how they are this year, they've just really stepped up as people, as athletes. And so that's really exciting. And I always feel like if they're doing well and they're happy and they're thriving, then we're offering something positive to their life. So that's definitely rewarding. This job is very rewarding that way.
What is it like getting to see those seniors putting on that last Montana State rodeo uniform?
That is not that is not fun. I kind of underestimated how not fun that would be at our last rodeo last year. Because we're really involved with them. Like I see those kids every day, I talk to them almost every day. Um, so it's definitely bittersweet. But a lot of times they're going to the college finals, so we've got, things going past our last rodeo. And sometimes, rodeo is kind of a unique circle to be in. A lot of times you see the same people for years and years at the pro rodeos or at the amateur rodeos. So I would say a lot of the times you're still going to see that person just in a different environment. So it just depends. It's doesn't, it's definitely bittersweet, but I'm usually excited for them and, have enjoyed having them. So
As a coach, what is it like getting to see them going into the pro rodeos or even into coaching collegiately?
um, what do you mean? Sorry.
What is that like as a coach getting to see them going into competing professionally in rodeo or even going into coaching?
Oh, going into coaching. Um, Honestly, a lot of our kids are going to the pro rodeos while they're in college, so we can kind of help set them up for that while they're here, which is really cool. We have several who have made their circuit finals, that are in on the team right now, which is awesome. I always feel like if their choice is to kind of pro rodeo after college, we can help set them up for that. Then we've done our job as far as the athletic side and setting them up and giving them coaching and giving them tips and as far as competing and going down the road. And so I mean that's great to see for sure.
What are some of your future plans for the Montana State rodeo program moving forward?
We are always working on our facility. We're always working on improving practice, adding things that can help us, especially up here, the weather's really bad. We need to be indoors a lot. So we're upgrading our facility right now to be able to hold rough stock practices here at our timed event practice facility. We're always adding boarding upgrades and things like that. We bring in a lot of clinicians, and that's one thing that I really have been pushing for the past year is yes, we coach also, but it's always good to bring in those clinicians that can offer more and different insights. So we'll continue to do that. As far as the program goes, it's pretty much we stay around 50 to 55 kids. We would try to recruit, elite athletes that are going to add to the program. And so going forward, we're just going to kind of try to keep making that better. We have great booster clubs, and so we're always trying to grow those. And then our spring rodeo, we basically have grown every year. We had a record year last year. I expect another record year this year. So going forward, we're just like I said, we're trying to maintain traditions and keep improving them. So
What advice would you give those incoming freshmen entering their first year of college rodeo?
the biggest thing is just to work hard and know that it's going to be hard. It's a huge change. You've gone from your parents telling you what to do all the time to having a lot of freedom. And I think that some kids don't know how to handle that. And so I think having goals for what they want to do is really important. Asking questions and asking, their other teammates advice or, time management, that kind of thing, how things work. And also, once you decide where you're going to go to school, just being excited to be there. There's always other programs that have other things that they can offer, but if you've committed to somewhere, make the best of it, and it can really offer you a lot. And as far as school part goes, it's okay to not know what you're going to do because most people don't, and changing a major is not a big deal. But you will be glad that you did it and you have your degree, and I think that college rodeo can offer a lot. So just to stick with it.
What advice would you have those college juniors transitioning into being seniors and leading the program?
Leaving from college, like graduating college?
No, college juniors leading the program as seniors.
Oh, we lean on them a lot. We have team captains, they're upperclassmen, and they're great. They've been in the program for a while. They know how things work. They're really good influence on our younger kids. I always just kind of tell them, be honest with your teammates and hold them to a high standard. They need those people to, keep them accountable and be good friends to them. And I really try to keep a good line with the team of, I'm not going to be your friend. I'm not going to I don't want to cross that line with them, but I'll help you solve your problem, and I'll, have your back, and I'll advocate for you. But your teammates will be, the ones who can, listen to things that maybe you wouldn't tell your coach, that kind of thing. So just to be there for each other and help each other and be supportive and hold you accountable.
What advice would you have those college seniors transitioning into being a college coach or even competing professionally into rodeo?
I think just to be realistic with yourself of what your goals are. Some people are going to go on in pro rodeo, and I think college can give you a lot of skills for that. Some people are going to be done after college, and I think just, deciding what's important to you. We talk a lot about that while they're on the team, about, what their next steps are. And my advice would just be to, it's close one chapter and open another. It's not always a bad thing. It can be really positive. And if they wanted to get into coaching, I guess my advice would just be to be prepared for, or be willing to do a lot of things other than coaching. Because I think that there's a lot that goes into coaching, that's not, being on the ground analyzing a run. I mean, there is a lot of organizing and coordinating and being in the office and building team camaraderie and planning events and fundraising, all of those things at the end of the day that are benefiting your team and are part of being a coach. So just to be prepared for that and be willing to do that.
What advice would you have those players looking to coach at their alma mater like you have?
The biggest, I think pretty similar. I think being open-minded enough to knowing that things probably have changed since you were in school. I have to remind that, about to myself a lot, and, kind of using your past experience as, okay, a baseline of, what to expect, but also could we change it? Could we make it better? Should we have done things differently then? Or, maybe we should go back to that. So just kind of being very neutral about it.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you on social media along with the rodeo program?
We have a Facebook page and an Instagram page, Montana State University Rodeo. We post a lot of stuff on there. We post links to watch our rodeo. Our spring rodeo is on the Cowgirl channel, so they can actually watch it there, and on the Cowboy Channel app. So that's in April. But we are pretty active on our social medias, so we have a lot of content there that people can follow our team.
Thank you again, Coach Savanna, for your interview, and best of luck in your future at Montana State as the assistant rodeo coach.
Thank you.
You can find Brandon Sports Talk on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Coach Savanna, for your interview, and best of luck in your future.
Thank you.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.